Imagine a world where mobile dead zones become a thing of the past. That's exactly the ambitious vision behind SpaceX's recent decision to acquire wireless spectrum from EchoStar in a staggering $17 billion transaction. But here's where it gets controversial. This deal could radically reshape the future of 5G connectivity, and it has already sent ripples through the telecom industry. On September 8, 2025, SpaceX, led by Elon Musk, who also heads Tesla, announced that it's purchasing spectrum licenses from EchoStar, specifically to enhance and expand its Starlink satellite internet network. This spectrum acquisition represents a massive leap for Starlink's emerging 5G service offering, which aims to provide high-speed, satellite-based cellular connectivity, even in remote areas where traditional coverage is unavailable. An interesting aspect of the deal is that EchoStar's Boost mobile users will soon be able to access Starlink's direct-to-cell service. Essentially, this will bridge gaps in coverage by extending satellite service into regions that currently struggle with spotty or non-existent cell signals. Think of it like enabling satellites to serve as new cell towers in space, vastly increasing network reach. SpaceX's spectrum purchase opens the door for the company to build and launch upgraded satellites that communicate with each other via lasers, a cutting-edge technology. These improvements are expected to boost the network capacity by more than 100 times, transforming how we think about wireless networks. Gwynne Shotwell, SpaceX's president and chief operating officer, highlighted the significance of this agreement by saying it could effectively eliminate mobile dead zones worldwide. With exclusive access to this spectrum, SpaceX will deploy next-generation Starlink direct-to-cell satellites, offering a monumental increase in performance and coverage for customers, regardless of their location on the planet. The announcement had an immediate impact on the stock market. EchoStar shares jumped by 19% during early trading, signaling investor confidence. In contrast, shares of major U.S. wireless carriers like AT&T and T-Mobile dropped by more than 3%, while Verizon stock slid over 2%. This clear market reaction underscores growing competition concerns in the telecom space. This deal comes at a time when wireless data demand is skyrocketing. In 2024 alone, Americans consumed an unprecedented 132 trillion megabytes of mobile data, a 35% increase over the previous record, according to industry group CTIA. These numbers highlight the urgent need for enhanced network capacity and innovative approaches like those Starlink promises. Since 2020, SpaceX has launched over 8,000 Starlink satellites to build a distributed internet network in low Earth orbit. Demand for Starlink comes not only from rural consumers, but also from military and transportation sectors, all looking for reliable connectivity where traditional infrastructure is lacking. Since the start of 2024, roughly 600 of these satellites have been launched specifically to support the direct-to-cell service. An essential factor in deploying these advanced satellites is SpaceX's massive Starship rocket. A giant vehicle under development for nearly a decade, the rocket's increasingly complex test flights suggest its fast approaching readiness to launch operational Starlink missions early next year, a critical milestone for this ambitious project. However, the deal wasn't without regulatory scrutiny. Earlier this year, the Federal Communications Commission, FCC, questioned EchoStar's use of its mobile satellite service spectrum, expressing doubts about whether it had fulfilled its obligations to roll out 5G across the U.S. EchoStar anticipates that disagreement with SpaceX, along with a separate multi-billion-dollar deal with AT&T, will resolve the FCC's concerns. An FCC spokesperson commented that these recent arrangements hold the potential to supercharge competition, extend innovative new services to millions of Americans, and boost U.S. leadership in next-generation connectivity. But this optimistic view raises questions. Will the FCC's actions effectively balance competition and innovation? Or could this consolidation stifle smaller players? EchoStar had earlier sold some of its nationwide wireless spectrum licenses to AT&T for $23 billion. AT&T bought 50 megahertz of mid-band and low-band spectrum nationwide, highlighting how these valuable airwaves have become prime assets that major players are eager to control. Interestingly, former President Donald Trump had previously encouraged EchoStar and FCC Chair Brendan Carr to reach an amicable resolution regarding wireless spectrum licenses. A reminder of the intense political and regulatory pressure surrounding this issue. Under the terms, SpaceX will pay up to $8.5 billion in cash and issue up to $8.5 billion in stock, plus take on roughly $2 billion of EchoStar's debt interest payments through late 2027. Following the sale, EchoStar will continue operating its satellite TV services through Dish TV, its streaming platform Sling, internet service HughesNet, and Boost Mobile. Leading up to this acquisition, SpaceX had been actively urging the FCC to reassign underutilized airwaves to satellite-to-phone services, arguing that EchoStar had been sitting on valuable mid-band spectrum without fully realizing its potential. In an April letter, SpaceX emphasized that EchoStar's 2 GHz band remains highly underused and suitable for sharing with next-generation satellite systems. This deal will allow SpaceX to use the frequencies it owns for Starlink's direct-to-cell service, instead of relying solely on leased spectrum from traditional carriers like T-Mobile. This strategic move could fundamentally change the dynamics of wireless service delivery. Meanwhile, telecommunications giants continue their own massive spectrum plays. In May, the FCC approved Verizon's $20 billion acquisition of fiber provider Frontier Communications, following Verizon's $52 billion spectrum acquisition spree in 2021. Indicating that the race for connectivity dominance is fierce and ongoing. So what do you think? Is SpaceX's massive investment a game changer that will finally bring wireless coverage to the most remote corners of the U.S.? Or does this consolidation in spectrum rights threaten fair competition? Could satellite-based 5G really topple the incumbents? Or is this just another complex chapter in the telecom industry's evolution? Share your thoughts below. This debate is far from over.